It's 9:20 in the morning. In just over an hour, 10:30, I'm going to set off up the coast to the Walton Backwaters. Be my first trip up the coast. It's perfect conditions, sunny, nice breeze but not too strong. Yeah, I think the main thing is going to be sailing on my own for 7 or 8 hours, which is what I think it will take, especially as I don't have a tiller pilot at the moment. Anyway, I can set my sheet to tiller steering up and then I won't have to be on the tiller non-stop. Or I can just stop for a bit, go hove to and have a rest and a cup of tea or something. We're off. 4 knots we're going. Tide's about to turn and then we'll be heading out with the ebb tide. We're good. Heading more or less east now to get out past Sales Point and then get round Colne Point. Yeah, the wind's not quite as strong as it was. It was very quiet just now. I was down to like 2 knots. So that's the question, how long it's going to take me to get there. Basically I've calculated on 4 knots. I mean 3 knots plus tide. That should be fine. Anyway, we'll see. Maybe the wind will pick up as we get out of the river. Just as I said that, the wind picked up. So we're doing 3.5 knots now, so that's a bit more exciting. Weirdly choppy water coming from behind me all of a sudden. I have no idea why that is. We're in 16 metres of water, so it's nothing shallow. Suddenly lots of little breaking waves. Interesting. That yacht in the distance, I think it's this one that set off with me from Bradwell this morning with some guys probably doing their day skipper training. Anyway, there was clearly an instructor and some other guys learning. They've obviously gone round in the channel. Anyway, of course, not being competitive, but I'm way ahead of them because I can cut the corner. So that's satisfying. Right in the distance, I think that's the North Cardinal, my old friend from my first trip out to sea. So I shall soon be the furthest out I've ever been. Exciting. Sorry to say, that yacht is catching me. Huh. So I'm 20 minutes ahead of schedule. That's pretty cool. Everything's going on time. All going perfectly according to plans, except that my competitor is overtaking me. Yeah, disappointingly, because I'm so close to the shore, I'm in the lee of the land and the wind has just dropped. And so my great rival has overtaken me. As we're turning the corner around Clacton, we're heading up into the wind more. And we're more like on a close reach now. When I was planning this trip, I was a bit apprehensive about being out at sea all alone for so long. But as I sailed past Clacton, I realised what should have been blindingly obvious to me all along. that I was only going to be a few hundred yards from the shore the whole way, and it wasn't going to be scary at all. That was kind of a relief, but also disappointing. Next time I need to go further out to sea, I thought. .1 knots. Coming up to the radio tower near Holland-on-Sea. That's my halfway point. It's a pretty good wind now. Zooming along. Felixstowe cranes in the distance. Coming up to the Stone Banks buoy dead ahead. Then I'll need to tack across to get towards the Pye Channel. Breeze isn't particularly strong, but there's a lot of waves. Fantastic sailing. Wind, sun, few waves, all going great. Coming up to the Pye and Safe Water buoy. Hove to next to the number 2 buoy. I'm just getting a bit chilly, so I'm going to change into something warmer. To get into the Walton Channel, it's very narrow with sharp turns round the buoys. The pilot book warns that the sand is as hard as concrete, and it was low water, so there wasn't much room for error. I certainly didn't want to make a mistake. Yeah, that feels like a good achievement. Here I am in Titchmarsh with a lovely clear sky and the sun going down, and I'm completely knackered. As part of my preparation, I made some really meticulous notes. So I drew up a passage plan, printed it out, laminated it, and also had a little map of the Walton Channel with all the buoys coming in. I'd estimated that I would go at 4 knots over the ground, and that worked out as 7 hours, and in fact that's what happened. Although about halfway along, when I got to the radio mast north of Holland-on-Sea, I was about an hour and a half ahead of schedule then. But then when I got round the corner from the Naze, the wind was coming across, and then I had to do a whole load of tacking to get towards the high end buoy, and that took ages and really slowed me down. And also the sun went behind the cloud and it was getting quite cold, so I decided to go hove to. I got my raincoat on and I radioed Titchmarsh Marina and made sure they had a berth for me. And then after that I took the sails down and I motored in past all of those wiggly buoys, because I wasn't confident that I could sail through it. And well, I don't know if anyone sails through it, but especially it was right on low tide. The water was very shallow in places. The upshot is I got here at 5:30 and that made the whole journey 7 hours, which is what I'd planned. So well done me. Anyway, it's very satisfying having done it, and I didn't stop. Well, apart from a bit of hove to radio the Marina, I didn't stop at all, which maybe wasn't so sensible. It was basically 7 hours of non-stop sailing with me on the tiller the whole time, but it was fun. It was enjoyable. It was great. In fact, it was really great. It would be nice to have a bit more time to digest it, but I have to get back tomorrow, and to catch the tide I need to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. So I'm going to have something to eat and then try and get some sleep for a very early start. Some amazing boats around. Look at this. A ship. Now that is a proper anchor. I just look for the wooden masts and then see what's underneath, and not surprisingly they're always the most beautiful boats. 1896. For some reason Titchmarsh Marina doesn't have cleats, it has these rings. Yeah, I just don't get it. So there's no cleat you can whip a rope round from your boat. You've got to get out and thread it through. Anyway, that's what they have. My passage plan for tomorrow, the crucial bit being leave at 4:15, 30 minutes before low tide. Back to Bradwell by 11:15. There we go. low tide coming out of the Walton Channel in the early morning light. Slightly nerve-wracking doing it for the first time on my own, but we're out into proper deep water now, 4.7 meters. All set for the journey home. So this is Port Hambuoy 4A, and after it is number 4 up ahead, which is supposed to be flashing, but doesn't appear to be. Yep. That light isn't working. No flash. So I'm going to get up to the crab knoll, number 3, boy, and then head out on the way home, because I will have cleared the sandbank by then. Rethink of that decision. I didn't look very closely at the chart. I just thought we're around the sandbank, that'll do, and then we got very quickly down to 0.8 meters. So I'm heading back to the channel, Port Hambuoy number 2. Here's number 2. I think I can pretty safely turn off the channel now. So here goes. There's very little wind right now, so since I've got to be back at Bradwell for 11, I'm going to make as much progress as I can on the motor for now. So we'll see how that goes. Maybe the wind will pick up. Sailing. Super. 4.2 knots. 4.1 knots. 4.2 knots. past the maze tower. Got the whole sea to myself. The immensity of the sea. I find it mesmerizing. Part of me feels like sailing out there, taking my small boat way out of sight of land across a great expanse of water, although that impulse is equally matched by fear. I'm fascinated by tales of men sailing oceans in tiny boats, whether it was Frank Dye in a Wayfarer surviving a force 9 gale in the North Sea, or Webb Charles crossing the Pacific in a Drascombe lugger. There's no way I would ever do anything like that, but it seems the more I sail, the more I want to venture further out. Change of hat. A present from my in-laws. According to the Windy app, the wind starts from the northwest and then swings round to the north and then to the east as the morning goes on, which would be absolutely perfect. So let's hope that happens. Radar mast, my halfway point. Time for breakfast. Tea, banana, hard-boiled egg and some malt loaf. Zipping along now in the sunshine. Wind's died a bit. Bradwell power station, it's just appeared round the corner. I'm in sight of home. And so the wind gradually died away to nothing. It was getting warm. The ripples were scattering the sunlight, and for some reason the mainsheet block looked like Mr. Punch nodding off to sleep. But none of this was helping me get back in time for my responsibilities at home. I had to turn the engine on. The river was now flat calm, the power station buildings like two faceless Easter Island figures waiting obediently for some mysterious arrival from the sea. And me, very tired, having completed nearly 60 miles of single-handed sailing. Everything had gone better than I could have hoped. Shamrock's engine was filling the air with its mechanical hum. I was looking forward to getting some sleep, and I was thinking of what my next adventure could be, out amongst the wind and the waves again.